The man always scrubbed his body with a steel brush before robbing a bank, ensuring that no trace of his skin would be left at the scene. Next, he put on a pre-prepared bulletproof vest, tightly secured his custom-made wrist guards, and put on rubber gloves. Then, he wiped down the magazine with bleach, not even sparing the bullets, making sure that no fingerprints would be left behind. Finally, he changed into a police uniform that had been purchased in advance. Once dressed, his righteous appearance was so convincing that no one could tell he was an imposter. Their target was Charleston Baseball Stadium. As planned, Jack and his team arrived at the target location ahead of time. One of their accomplices quietly rolled up the shutter door to let them in. Today's heist was aimed at the baseball stadium. Don't underestimate this place. Its weekly revenue reached a staggering $3.5 million. The other team members also arrived at their designated locations as scheduled. Tom disguised himself as an electrician and secretly snuck into the electrical control room without anyone noticing. Alan posed as an ambulance driver, ready to assist in their escape at any moment. Then, their infiltrator led them through the employee passage and pointed them toward the vault. Afterward, he remained at the entrance, keeping a close eye on the door. Doug quickly took out a cutting tool and sliced through the steel door's hinges. Jack swung his crowbar and forcefully pried open the steel door. They swiftly crawled into the basement. Meanwhile, in the electrical room, Tom decisively unplugged the network cables of the security cameras. One by one, the surveillance monitors went dark. At that moment, Jack and his partner appeared, pretending to have received an emergency call. The security guards looked at them in disbelief. The manager rushed to Doug, explaining that no one had called the police, but Doug firmly insisted that they had received a report of a robbery here. His tone was resolute, leaving no room for doubt. Jack took the opportunity to check everyone's identification. However, the fact that they were still wearing sunglasses in the basement aroused the security personnel's suspicions. A vigilant security guard sensed that something was wrong and instinctively reached for his gun. The atmosphere instantly became tense as both sides drew their weapons on each other. Yet, Jack and his partner remained incredibly calm, their police uniforms adding an extra layer of authority. The intimidated guards were hesitant but did not dare to act rashly. With no other choice, they slowly raised their hands in surrender. Jack and Doug quickly tied up the guards' hands. Then, they decisively put on their masks. It was at that moment that the guards suddenly realized the truth, but it was already too late. Doug swiftly stepped up to the vault door and opened it. Inside, stacks of cash were piled high in the center of the vault. Without hesitation, the two men stuffed the money into their bags. Then, they silently and resolutely disappeared with their fortune. They pushed the cash to the back of the ambulance. Then, they quickly loaded the money into the vehicle. Everything seemed to have gone incredibly smoothly, but just as they were about to celebrate, a sudden sense of unease crept into Doug's heart.